One fact tuning into today's video, really have got some horrendous weather coming up over the next 2 or 3 days. They're going to be battered by severe gales, heavy rain, snow for northern parts of the country on Christmas Eve with blizzards, and 100-mile-an-hour gusts of wind possible for parts of Scotland through Christmas Eve. So very significant and severe weather. We'll have a look at that in a moment, and then we'll just have a look at where things may go as we head in towards the new year, whether we're going to get a break in this very extreme and severe stormy weather. Before I get on with that, just want to talk about the advertising. There's video ads. My page is at gazwebbiz.com. Hit play on video ad to be supporting gazwebbiz.com. Thanks very much for doing that. Gaz Shop is open still, but won't be for much longer. So if you want to do any shopping at Amazon, you can still click through the Amazon banners in Gaz Shop and go to Amazon to do your shopping. But I'll be closing it on Christmas Eve, so haven't got much longer to go through the Amazon banners in Gaz Shop. Thanks very much for doing that as well. So we're going to start off with the high resolution NAE model from the UK Met Office at website Weather Online. This is the rainfall forecast with the isobars as well, showing the winds for Monday. This is 6 o'clock in the morning on Monday, first of all. Not a lot going on, but here comes the storm down in the southwest of England in towards southern parts of Ireland. Some very heavy rain there, and things very quickly go downhill through the course of Monday with heavy rain sweeping through the morning across England and Wales, and gale force winds setting in as well. A little bit of pink there across northern England, indicating there could be some snow on the leading edge. That's mainly over the tops of the Pennines. As we move through to 6 o'clock in the evening, well, look at this, a very wet and windy picture across all parts of the country. Snow across the high ground of Scotland, torrential rain across much of England and Wales, tightly packed isobars. So we're going to be seeing gusts of wind at least up to 50, 60 miles an hour in many places. There could be winds up to gusts of wind up to 70 miles an hour, perhaps around the southwest approaches. That is enough to do structural damage. As you move through to midnight on Christmas Eve, it's still a very wet scene actually, so despite that it's very windy, and usually that rain goes on many hours, so there will be a risk of flooding as we go through Monday and in towards Tuesday. Very wet across many parts of the country. And up to 6 o'clock in the morning on Christmas Eve, well, it's still very wet there across many eastern and southern parts of England, although things are clearing up in the west, back to blustery wintry showers, increasingly wintry showers. The pink colours are appearing, indicating that the showers are turning increasingly to hail, sleet and snow. And then the worst of winds transfers to Scotland through the rest of Christmas Eve. So this is the horrendous looking chart from the GFS model for 6 o'clock in the morning on Christmas Eve. Got 930 millibar area of low pressure just to the west of Scotland. The all-time record low pressure for the British Isles, barometric pressure, is 925 millibars, set in 1884. So we are not that far away from the all-time lowest barometric pressure on record. I don't think we're going to quite get to it, but that is a very significant storm system for Christmas Eve, 930 millibars. And look how tight packed the isobars are, blasting through Northern Ireland into Scotland through the course of Christmas Eve. This is the chart for midday on Christmas Eve, and you really couldn't get more tightly packed isobars than that, to be honest. That is easily gusts of wind up to 80, 90 miles an hour. There will be places recording gusts of wind at 100 miles an hour, and possibly a bit more across the far north of Northern Ireland and through much of Scotland. As well as that, that's going to be blowing in lots of heavy showers. There'll be blizzards in those showers. There'll be wintry showers, and as I say, blizzards particularly over high ground, but maybe temporary blizzards on lower ground as well. It really is looking like an absolutely awful day across much of the north on Christmas Eve. Things aren't as bad across England and Wales. Notice the isobars are more spaced out. It's still very windy, but nowhere near as bad as the north. The north really is going to get it very bad on Christmas Eve. Then as we move through to the facts charts, just to show you the human interpretation of all this by the forecasters at the UK Met Office. That is the facts chart for Christmas Eve. Pretty horrendous chart, that one. Look how tightly packed the isobars are again there across Scotland and Northern Ireland. So very significant disruptive weather across many parts of the country through Monday, with very windy weather, gales, severe gales, heavy rains across the country, and then the worst of wind on Christmas Eve will be transferring to Scotland, where things really do look very, very bad indeed. And then we do it all over again on Friday. Things go a bit quieter through Christmas Day and Boxing Day, but this is the chart for Friday, with another very significant area of low pressure coming in across the country. Not quite as deep as the Christmas Eve storm, but still 945 millibars. That's a very intense area of low pressure moving into Ireland. Tightly packed isobars again, so very windy with gales, severe gale force winds. And what's significant about this one is that the low pressure just hangs around. So we've got many hours through Friday of severe gales, heavy driving rain sweeping across the country. We've gone from 6 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the evening, and that low pressure's barely moved. It's stuck across Ireland, and yeah, it's just several hours, many hours of gales or severe gales on Friday. As we go through to midnight on Saturday and on into 6 o'clock in the morning on Saturday morning, well, still very windy there. The winds are easing a little bit across England and Wales, but still significant gales or severe gales for much of Scotland. So Friday into Saturday looks just as bad, really, as Monday into Tuesday. And we've got to start thinking about when this stormy weather is going to end, because it can't go on forever more. So let's just have a quick look at the Arctic oscillation observed and forecast chart. Remember, the black line here is where the Arctic oscillation has been. The red line is where the Arctic oscillation is forecast to go. When the Arctic oscillation is positive, as it is now, indicated by the black line being well up towards the top of the chart, that's telling us that there's lots of low pressure in the Arctic. The cold air is bottled up. We've got high pressure through mid-latitudes around the Azores, low pressure around Iceland, and we're strengthening the westerly winds. Conversely, when the Arctic oscillation is negative, we've got blocking over the Arctic. We've got low pressure through the Azores, and the westerlies are weaker. We don't get the storms when the Arctic oscillation is negative, but what we do get is very much colder air coming down from the Arctic into the mid-latitudes. That's when we get our proper cold and snowy weather. So very positive Arctic oscillation at the moment, and that's one of the reasons we're having these terrible storms. We are seeing a trend here for the Arctic oscillation to increasingly dip down as we go towards the new year. This is January the 1st just here, and there is signs that the Arctic oscillation is tending towards neutral and possibly negative territory for the start of 2014. So that could be a sign that blocking is going to start to re-emerge across the Arctic. And if blocking does come back across the Arctic, won't necessarily get very cold for us, but somewhere in the northern hemisphere will get very cold. What it could do is bring an end to these very significant wind storms. So this is the JFS chart for Monday the 30th of December. It's 192 hours away. Still another quite significant area of low pressure coming in across the country. Quite tightly packed isobars again, indicating gales. Not sure to be quite as bad as weather coming up in the coming week, but even so, will be wet and windy through Monday the 30th. So we go towards the end of the year with very little change. But as we get through towards the start of 2014, this is January the 1st, New Year's Day, well, we're still unsettled. The low pressure is still there across the country, but notice we're raising the heights to the north quite significantly. 1,030 millibars across Greenland, and heading off towards the Arctic, 1,035 millibars. We're losing the purple, the deep blues and purple colours, indicating that we're just losing the potential for those very intense areas of low pressure towards the start of the year. So whilst it is still unsettled, there'll be showers, long spells of rain churning around this area of low pressure. It's not the sort of significant storms that we're seeing in the coming week. As we go beyond that in towards the first week of January, and this is a very long way out, well, still unsettled, still low pressure coming through, but again we're losing the blues and purples. It's not unsettled, severely stormy. We've just got areas of low pressure, normal areas of low pressure coming in, bringing some wind and rain, but nothing too significant. Notice all the time the heights are building to the north and the east of the country. We've got to watch out for that. Quite where that's going, we've got to wait and see. But even as we go out towards Sunday the 5th, this is 348 hours away, low pressure is still there. So it's still unsettled, I think, through the first week of January. But it's not as stormy, it's not as significantly windy and wet as it will be through the Christmas period. But again, again, we've got this wall of high pressure building to the east and the northeast. We do have to watch for where that's going, because eventually that area of high pressure may start to bully these low pressures and begin to push them back in towards the mid-Atlantic. But that is very speculative. We've got to wait and see. The ECMW for Monday the 30th again shows another quite significant area of low pressure coming in off the Atlantic. Could bring another bout of gales. But that's probably the last one, and as we get through to January the 1st, I think then we're just generally unsettled. We're not seeing, again, the signal for those severe gales and stormy winds that we have through the through the final week of December. Again, notice pressure is rising to the east and the northeast of the country. And finally, the GEM, again, could be some wet and windy weather moving through to Monday the 30th. But I think as we get through towards New Year's Day, again, it's that idea that low pressure is sitting around the British Isles. It's still unsettled. There's still showers, longer spells of rain. But overall, we're seeing more high pressure to the north and to the east, just killing off the potential for that stormy weather. So we've got significant storms to come through the Christmas week, certainly. Monday, Christmas Eve, going to be very, very bad. And again, we'll do it again on Friday into Saturday, 27th and 28th. And we may get another final bout of gales coming through sometime around Monday. But once that's gone through, I think then the first week of January, it's looking unsettled. There'll still be showers, longer spells of rain, some quite windy weather at times, but it's not looking stormy. I think we'll lose the potential for storms. And really, as we go through January, or through the first half of January anyway, we've got to be considering where the areas of high pressure are going to the north and to the east, and possibly to the south of the country as well. I'm not saying it is going to get cold. It could get colder from that. Conversely, we could turn very mild if we start to build pressure from the south. And actually, the GEM does show that to some degree. That's close to a very mild southerly wind there on New Year's Day. It could turn very mild. We had a very stormy period like this through Christmas and New Year, 97 and 98, and where it all finished up once we got through to January was with a really warm spring-like spell through the first half of January 1998. We saw temperatures topping 14 degrees, 57 Fahrenheit across many parts of the country. It really was a taste of spring, January 1998. So we've got to be considering where things go after this very stormy spell. It's too early to say, but I'll be keeping an eye on it for you anyway. In the meantime, very, very significant storms through the Christmas period. Do take care. You're going to be travelling about Monday, Christmas Eve, and again after Christmas, Friday and Saturday. Very, very significant winds indeed. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.